Our curriculum project focuses on beavers, not only about beavers themselves, but how their activities and life history completely change the habitat around them. At this point in our curriculum, students have learned a lot about beavers, including how they live and how and why they build dams and lodges. They have discussed and seen how a beaver can transform a stream into a large wetland, and seen some of the organisms that rely on these wetlands, that include plants, amphibians like frogs and salamanders, reptiles like turtles and snakes, fish, mammals, bugs, and other invertebrates, and lots of birds. Earlier in our curriculum, students will have been on a hike to see a beaver dam and or lodge, and hopefully they will even have seen an actual beaver themselves. Hello, welcome to our mini demonstration. Today we will show you one of our activities that we will be conducting with our students in our curriculum. This activity is called building a beaver dam. Our target audience are children ages 9 to 10, and our rationale behind this activity is to foster a closer relationship between children and animals, and to actually put students in beaver's shoes and have them build their own dam using the methods and strategies of a beaver. Prior to this activity, students would have went on a nature walk or a hike or a field trip to observe a beaver dam themselves. And on these nature walks and field trips, students may find really interesting artifacts next to these dams. Things like this log, which is very cool, that shows evidence of beavers from the chew marks on this log, which beavers do very quite often to build their dams. On these field trips, we would ask students to collect materials to create their own dams, and based on their observations from the beaver dams. Things that they can use to build the beaver dam are branches, leaves, different sizes, twigs, some rocks, and then we have some different size sticks that represents different size of logs that beavers use in their dams. Another component is soil, but instead of using real soil for this activity, we'll be using clay instead. And just to make this fun, we decided to incorporate animals that represent the wildlife in the area. We have a makeshift beaver, which is actually a bear, but with slight modifications, we made him look like a beaver. We also decided to incorporate other animals, and in this case we decided to have a Stegosaurus, an Ankylosaurus, and a T-Rex that represent the other animals in the habitat. Of course, just to make things clear, dinosaurs do not exist, and they are extinct, and you will not find them in any forests in the present time. Our main component for this activity is this tub, which represents the river, and this is where students will build their dams. Then they'll be able to find out whether they were successful and have they built it as good as a beaver. When beavers build a dam, the first thing they do is lay down a foundation of rocks with mud. Today we're using clay instead of mud. They then take larger logs and lay them across the area. After this basic structure of the dam is built, they start weaving together smaller sticks to start filling in the larger gaps. Then they take moss and leaves and stuff them into the smaller gaps to help make sure too much water doesn't get through. Sometimes they lay more branches on the top in the directions of the water flow. The goal is not to completely stop the water, but to allow the water to be able to spill over if the water level gets too deep. So, here is our final dam. You can see we have utilized all of the materials. Beavers actually would weave some of the branches together,
but the dams that students constructed will be too small to reproduce the weaving technique. Okay, let's add our makeshift beaver and the dinosaurs that represent our wetland animals. We can now add water to see how well our beaver dam holds back the water. The goal is to have the dam create a deeper pool of water on one side of the stream than the other. Well, our experiment was not a complete failure. You can see how the water level is deeper on one side, but I think we would have to reinforce a lot of spots in our dam to get a better structure built. After completing their dam, students should get the opportunity to evaluate, adjust, and adapt their dams if necessary to see what might help, slow, or even stop the flow of water if they have been unsuccessful on the first attempt.